Hey guys, my name is Dean McDougall. I am SureHire's Director of Occupational Health Services. I've been with SureHire since 2012 in various different capacities, and currently my role is to have oversight of all of our health-related services that we do offer here at SureHire. And we're here today for me to have an opportunity to answer some of the more common questions that we do get asked at SureHire that pertain to the health-related services that we do offer. So without further ado, let's get into it. So one of the most common questions that we do get asked here at SureHire is, what is fitness to work testing? And a general overview of fitness to work testing is that it's an evaluation that is going to look at an individual's medical status, their health history, and their musculoskeletal function to get an idea of that individual's overall capabilities as it pertains to the work tasks that they may or may not be assigned in that role. Long story short, it allows us to get a bit of a broad view picture of individuals who we evaluate so that an employer can make a really informed decision on whether or not they feel that individual is safe to put into that particular role and whether or not accommodation may or may not be necessary so that that individual can succeed. So guys, our next question is, what are BFORs? And BFOR is an acronym that's short for bona fide occupational requirement. What that essentially means is that, is this task that this individual is performing critical or essential to the ability to perform that role? So a good example of this would be if I was a welder, my ability to weld would be considered a bona fide occupational requirement, because without that ability, I wouldn't be able to perform that role. Now, BFORs are really important in terms of understanding when accommodation is necessary in various roles based on any identified functional impairment or limitation. But again, they're different for every occupation, they're different for every work site, and so it's really important that we have an understanding of the term, but also how it is applied to that position and to that work site. All right, guys, so the next question is, what does SureHire use to base their recommendations that they provide to employers on related to fitness to work testing? And what we utilize is what's called a physical demands analysis. Physical demands analyses are essentially reports that are put together after an occupation or a role has been observed in the field. And what they encapsulate are questions related to the specific tasks that occupation requires to perform, the environmental factors, the psychosocial factors that they're involved with. There's quite a lot of information that goes into a physical demands analysis, but most importantly for us is really about those essential work tasks. So the employer will work with us in determining what those essential work tasks are, and then should we, through our testing, identify a limitation or impairment, we will then be required to connect the dots to that physical demands analysis to justify the recommendations that we put forward. All right, guys, so the next question that we have is related to the leveling system that SureHire uses with our fitness to work testing. And the question just stems around, what is it and how does it work? And to give you a brief overview of the system, it's essentially a 1 through 5 scale that we use when we evaluate individuals that allows us to then tier them based on any observed findings, limitations, or impairments that are identified. So someone who is what we would define as a level 1 are typically individuals who we have no concerns with. We've noted no functional impairment or limitations. These are individuals who have been able to satisfactorily show us that we don't have any identified safety concerns. Whereas individuals who are on the lower end of the scale have various degrees of either medical conditions, injuries, or other illnesses that we do feel warrant some follow-up or potential accommodation for. Typically speaking, across all industries and sectors, lower back injuries will tend to be the most common injury sustained. And the mechanism in which that injury occurs typically will be through what they call an overexertion. Now, there are other factors that can occur, such as an external force hitting an individual, causing an injury, but for the most part, the overexertion of a muscle does tend to be heads and shoulders above everything else in terms of frequency of injury, with the low back most commonly being the area affected. From there, we typically will see upper extremity injuries occur, whether it be from the shoulder, the elbow, or the wrist. All of those also are quite common. And again, it typically does have to do with an overexertion.